The great thing about reptile YouTube is most of the creators are absolutely amazing, but some of them aren't. I am excited for this one. Normally I don't make videos like this, but I made one last month you can watch right here. If there's someone in this video, they're probably in that one. And you guys wanted a second one. So I'm gonna tell you my true and honest opinions. I picked all of these from the comments section in the community post I posted last week. So I didn't pick these, they're not my favorites. I just picked what you guys gave me. I wrote them down on cards, shuffled them up. I have no notes, and this is just going to be quick on the draw. I'm gonna pull a card and tell you my honest opinion. So let's stop wasting your time. Oh, and at the very end, I'm going to rip a strip off someone. Someone deserves to be deplatformed, but we'll keep that one till the end. Okay, let's get into it. Bad choice, Noah. Now, if you're not aware, this is Brian Barczyk's kid, Noah Barczyk. Cool guy. Don't really know what he's got going on his lip there, but I think that this guy is cool and his channel is awesome too. Not so much reptile content, but that's how he started. Obviously being, you know, the son of the king, the prince of reptiles, let's say. And this guy is trying to be a stand-up comic. I've been doing stand-up comedy for a lot longer than I've been doing this.
And then you'd walk away so you could go place bets with the other parents on whose kid was going to get humped or jumped in the corner of the pen by dog
And I'll tell you what, anyone who gets on stage and keeps getting on stage to do stand-up has a giant set of ball pythons or something. So I got nothing but respect for Noah. I think that, well, we talked about it on Derek Reptiles podcast. Him and I should definitely do a roast battle one day, but we'll talk about that another day. Let's move on. JKR, Justin Kobylka Reptiles. So I don't watch this channel a ton just because there's so much ball python content, right? And my guy is coming up in the list. So I think what he does for the reptile community, and especially with ball pythons, is amazing. If you're looking for someone at the forefront of breeding ball pythons, someone who is a true, real, honest-to-God expert, then Justin Kobylka is the guy. And also, I'm pretty sure he tried stand-up once or a couple times or something. So anyway, nothing but respect for Justin Kobylka Reptiles. Rose City Reptiles. Now this is an OG in terms of like my friends who do YouTube. Now Rose City and Professor Herp and I used to talk a ton at the very beginning, throw around ideas when we were at a few hundred subscribers each. This guy is a super nice guy, by the way, but we're judging channels here, and his channel's awesome too. He's got this wicked farm, he breeds tegus, all these crazy tegus in Texas, something that I'm trying to emulate, right? I think that'd be super cool to have like a farm with reptiles in Texas. That's what I'm aiming for, right? I think this guy has an amazing channel I definitely would recommend, and he brings a lot of positivity, in my opinion, in terms of how to properly take care of tegus. This is the guy to watch for. Muscle Serpent University. Dave Palumbo. Now, when you look at this guy, even if you've never watched his channel, it's pretty obvious this guy was a big-time bodybuilder at one point. In my opinion, the best bodybuilder ever to never receive an IFBB Pro card. How do I know that? Well, I used to look like this. I used to be a bodybuilder too. Not at Dave's level, but I remember meeting Dave at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio in 2015. He was sitting in front of me. I couldn't believe he was there. I didn't know he had a snake channel. I didn't have a snake channel, but I think it's cool that I watched him then and it was an inspiration for me as a bodybuilder, and now I think he does great with his facility in Florida, with boas especially, and other large constrictors. I think it's a great channel. I don't think he posts a ton, which is why he's not really getting like the amount of traction you'd expect from someone with that big of a name. But I've got nothing but respect for Dave Palumbo. I think he's a great guy and he's really kind of good at everything that he does. Nick Bingo. Okay, we're getting away from reptiles here. This guy has reptiles, and I'll be honest, I didn't know who this guy was until I looked him up in the comments, which was a few days ago. I watched some of the videos. As far as I can tell, he seems like a good reptile keeper. Now, he does collaborations with other channels that we'll get to that I'm not a fan of because just the way they treat animals. But I see nothing on this guy's channel other than positivity. The way he fed his reptiles in the video that I watched was fine. He's obviously good at making reptile videos. Young kid, knows what he's doing. I got nothing bad to say about Nick Bingo. Who's that reptile YouTuber in the window? B-I-N-G-O, Bingo was his name, or however that song goes. Brian Boas. Now, this is a channel I didn't know about until someone turned me on to it. This is one of those guys where he knows what he's doing. He's an expert at what he does. If you look for boa content, this is your guy. But the production value is holding him back. I think that's what it is. There's certain guys that they pour all of their time into their animals, and the videos aren't up to the quality of, say, a Brian Barczyk, or even like trying to get there. And I'm not trying to like be mean or crap on Brian Boas. I think this guy's awesome and his channel is great and a good learning tool. I just think the reason you've never heard of him is because he doesn't have flashy cuts and color grading and all sorts of stuff. This guy, if you want something, no frills, just want information about Boas, Brian Boas is a great channel. I just realized that the microphone's been in frame the entire time. Are you kidding? David's feed. Okay, so I promised in the last video if I did another one, I'd do some hot topics here. David's feed is a guy that I didn't even know had a YouTube channel. I just thought that he was on everybody's Facebook feed all the time. I can't escape this guy. This is the one with the crazy fingernails that handles hots. And I don't think that handling venomous snakes, hots means venomous by the way, is always wrong. I just think there are wrong ways to do it, and if you're glamorizing it, I don't appreciate it. Now, this is just my opinion. I am not the czar of venomous reptiles. To take venomous snakes and free handle them like he does, first of all, I mean, he's never been bit, so he's obviously very good. He's very talented. Kids are gonna watch his videos because he's entertaining. They're gonna go outside and try to emulate what he does, and it's gonna be bad news bears. Not saying it's his responsibility to, you know, tell kids, but I don't know. There's really nothing wrong with him, just my personal opinion. Okay, one of the best at what he does for sure, the Tarantula Collective. Now, I've done Richard's podcast. I've been on his channel. He's been on my channel. And I can't say enough good things about this guy. This is a tarantula and invert type channel. He does stuff with king snakes, and I think he's got a leopard gecko and other reptiles. But I think that if you're looking for a cinematic experience to learn about inverts, especially tarantulas, there's no one better than Richard at what he does. I think I geek out and I do crazy lighting and crazy shots and I do cool B-roll, but in terms of like professionalism, Richard blows me out of the water. So even if you're not looking to learn about tarantulas, which he can teach you 100%, he knows his stuff, but you just want to watch something that is like National Geographic quality footage, you've got to watch a Tarantula Collective. I love Richard's channel. He's almost 100,000 subscribers and he deserves to get there. Okay, here's a controversial one. Reptiles Uncaged. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I've only watched enough of his channel to see good things. I don't watch it all the time. I used to watch it back in the day, and now what he has is a pretty cool, anyway, the idea is he's got a bunch of reptiles, like imagine a community tank, but in a giant room, like a massive room. So all these, it's kind of like an ecosystem that he's built. And from what I can see, it just kind of looks like a bigger version of what you'd have in like a pond if you lived in Florida, where you have like fish in the pond and you have turtles and maybe you've got iguanas running around and things like that. So I don't think what he's doing is necessarily wrong. But again, I'm not an avid watcher. Just from what I've seen, I actually think his channel is pretty cool. Chris Hardwick, another one that is like very ball pythons and more ball pythons. I think it's cool what he's doing. He's an OG. He's been doing it for a while. But also, this is the same guy that like did live streams to raise money so he could buy a Harley. So just he stands in front of a green screen and talks about Morph Market. He's like the first Morph Market journalist, someone said to me once. So I don't know. I don't think it's a bad channel. I don't really know too much about him, but I think that he does know a fair bit about ball pythons and is probably a good resource to learn the basics about ball python breeding. Emma Lynne Sampson. Okay, so she gets away from reptiles a lot, and I think that in terms of Canadian reptile YouTubers, I talked about most of them in the last video, but I don't know why. I should have included her too. I do think she's a very good influence on the community. She's been doing this for a while, and she's well respected in the community amongst YouTubers in general, and especially the small group of Canadian YouTubers. So great things to say. I think she's a great influence on the community, and I like the way she presents information. In fact, when I got a blue-tongued skink, I watched some of her videos about blue-tongued skinks in order to gain more knowledge on something that I extensively researched before, because the idea with YouTube videos is that you're backing up the research you've already done, and the entertaining ones are the ones that you watch, and she makes entertaining videos. I think I was waving around this card during the last one, so you know it's Mutation Creation. Another one that is a Canadian YouTuber, and this is one of those guys I think that focuses mainly on his business. Like the nuts and bolts of what he does is breeding snakes, and he's amazing at what he does. I can't think of a negative thing to say about Billy. Billy speaks his mind in a way that nobody else does. His rants are amazing, his snake collection is amazing, and he knows what he does. He's amazing. The entire channel is great. I think that the tight-knit community that he's built is something to be like stand in awe of, in my opinion. He's only got 50,000 subscribers, which is not like an only. What I'm trying to say here is, although he's not a massive channel, he still gets 300 people watching his live streams every week. So his audience is very tight-knit, his audience is very loyal, and that's amazing. And the way that you do that is by being a genuine person. So, although I've never met Billy in person, I personally think that what he shows on the internet is probably the way that he is, and is a breath of fresh air when it comes to watching YouTubers, where most of us are kind of like biting our tongue here and there, except for me at the end of this video. Mutation Creation's awesome. And, I mean, if you want to buy a ball python in Canada, that's your guy. Paul Cuffaro. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name. I've seen him do collaborations with other YouTubers and stuff, and the guy comes up. And if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. So let's move on. Viper Keeper. Another one that the production value, if he had an editor, if this guy had an editor or a team to make videos, he would be, I don't even know what the subscriber count is because it's hidden, but I think that he would be everywhere. You wouldn't be able to escape him because the way he interacts with his animals is pretty darn cool. I think he's got a cool personality. It's just one of those things where it's a point shoot and there's not really a lot of editing going on. So in today's world, you gotta have edited videos, you gotta have high production value because there is so much competition. This guy's an OG, knows what he's doing, and definitely could have a bright future, and I think he's got a much larger channel than me, so, I mean, who am I to tell this guy what to do? All right, we're getting down to the last few here and getting close to, like, rant time, but first, always evolving pythons. I like Miguel's channel. It's awesome. He's one of the channels where I benchmarked, like, what do I have to do to get to this level? I like this guy. His presentation style is great. He collaborates a lot. He likes to travel, and his collection is wicked. And for the same reason that I like Cusco, I think his videos are well done, and he incorporates the family and things like that. Good influence on the community, in my opinion, and amazing collection. Okay, here's one I never thought that I would get sucked into so hard. Ants Canada. Okay, don't watch this video unless you have time to watch 7 or 8 other videos that they've made. For the same reason I love the Tarantula Collective, I love Ants Canada. It's like every week he makes a documentary worthy of being put on National Geographic. Canadian dude, who I imagine at 4 point whatever million subscribers no longer lives in Canada. I think that this guy is... This is the cat's pajamas in terms of ant content. I've never wanted an ant farm since I had one when I was 8, but now I realize how cool they are. And if you saw an ant farm in my house, like, that just means I couldn't stop watching this guy. This guy's videos are so good. Neptune the Chameleon, great channel, focuses on chameleons. I think that if you're looking for a good influence and someone who's entertaining to talk about chameleons, Neptune the Chameleon. The next one I had a subscriber borderline harass me to talk about. This is her favorite YouTuber, and now I get it after watching a few videos. Dingo Dinkleman. Okay, there's a few things. I'm gonna go negative first and then go positive because there's so few negative things. I watched one of his videos, the one he put out last week, of taking his cobras out. First of all, super cool that these giant cobras that he has, they have huge enclosures. This warms my heart. I'm the guy who gets, you know, kind of crapped on for saying that animals need too big of an enclosure. This guy gives his king cobras massive enclosures. Why he took 2 males out and let them fight is beyond me, but I'm not an expert. So I think that perhaps it's like a mating thing and it puts them in a mating. I don't know. The only thing that I could think to criticize was that, and I don't even really know what's going on. So my point is, I think he's a great influence. He's got a Steve Irwin vibe like I have never seen. He even has a cool accent. It's South African, not Australian, but pretty close. This guy, I don't know, he's got the vibe of a superstar when it comes to being a pet tuber. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to say this at the beginning. Pettuber, the whole thing of Pettuber versus YouTuber or pet YouTuber or reptile YouTuber. A Pettuber is anyone who talks about pets on the internet. So the idea that calling someone a Pettuber is rude or like drags them down or is a derogatory thing is dumb and stupid. We're all pet tubers. We talk about pets just because they're reptiles. Anyway, you get the idea. All right, we're almost at the end here. Nace. Now, I think this is the guy who's 11 feet tall, right? So I think this guy has an awesome zoo. I think it's awesome. I don't really watch a ton of his channel, but I think it's cool what he does. And he takes really great care of his animals. Never mind the fact that he's 12 feet tall, which is impressive by himself. But I think that the facility that is created is absolutely amazing. Never mind the fact that he's 13 feet tall. Anyway, nothing bad to say about Nace. Good influence on the community. 3 cards left. Elle's Reptiles. This is one I wanted to I should have put on the last one. It's the one that I actually watched myself. This is another channel that does really great work. Her collection is pretty diverse, and I think that the care that she gives her reptiles is exemplary of what you should be striving for. Great channel. Okay. This one I hate. I hate seeing so much negativity about on the internet. I mean, he deserves some of it. Jay's Prehistoric Pets, but not all of us are perfect. And I am someone who judges people based on today, not 10 years ago. So I'll get my gripe out of the way at first, because I was gonna do a whole video about this, and I can. I'm just gonna touch on some of the points here. If you want, leave a comment and I'll do a whole video about Jay. The way he cuts eggs open, I think is wrong. And here's the thing, I know that he's been doing this for way longer than me, but just because you've been doing something, I've been driving for way longer than Max Verstappen. I'm not better than a professional F1 car driver. Like, there is something to be said about experience, but there's no one else that does it like this. To rip a snake out of the egg like that is, in my opinion, is something that should not be put on the internet. Now that we're done that, I think that most of all, this guy knows what he's doing. He has an amazing collection. Yeah, a lot of his animals are probably too fat, but I guess this is another gripe. I'm not making excuses. He's got a zoo. He's trying to be impressive. He's got some very famous people that come in there. He needs to have the most impressive animals. He lives in Southern California. Like, I get it. Those are my two things with Jay that I don't agree with. That being said, I think overall, it's cool what he's doing in showing off some reptiles that most people would never get to see. Being able to go to a place where it's a very high population, so he gets a lot of people in the door, introduces a lot of people to snakes. But my main three things: the way he pulls snakes out of eggs is not cool. The fatness of his animals, obesity is not cool. I did a whole video about it right here if you want to watch it. And also, why do all his snakes hate him? So, I don't hate Jay. I don't dislike him even. I don't even really know what my point is here. I might be shooting myself in the foot to ever be able to go and do a video with this guy or go to his place. I'm just trying to give you my unadulterated, true idea of what these channels are and my true opinion. And with that, we're to the last card. This guy gets under my skin. I hate everything that he does. Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Me. I'm Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Now, I think this is funny that so many of you asked me to review my own channel, but I did. I decided, I stayed up and I kind of like, after I was done working one night, I watched some of my own videos, which was cringy. And if you watch yourself, it's cringe. I've been doing this for years as a stand-up comic. I go home and I watch my sets, especially if you die, right? If you're bombing, it sucks. It's the most terrible thing ever. But watching a video that you spent 5, 6, 7, 12 hours making, and you still find things that you would have changed, or realize stupid things like the microphone was in frame, or, you know, you had a big chunk of something in your beard. Like, I hate everything I do, which is why I think that I put so much effort into the videos, but I hope you enjoy them. I don't know why you guys listen to some bald guy who sits in a chair and talks about other people and other people's reptiles, but I appreciate it. I'm just trying to give the best information in the most fun way possible, and I appreciate every one of you for watching this. It's a little bit self-deprecating, this last one, but I hope you guys can see the humor in it, and I mean, if you look like a cue ball, you gotta have a little bit of a sense of humor about yourself. So there you go. Those are my unpopular opinions about your favorite pet tubers. What do you think? Do you think that this was kind of an even keel? Do you think I should have went harder? Do you think I should have lightened up? I was too mean? Let me know in the comments section, and please hit the like, please hit subscribe. It helps this channel immensely. It really does. And a special thank you, as always, to those of you who get discounts on the merch. These videos early, you get pictures of something really exciting happened last week. Anyway, for as little as $1 a month, I'm watching the skink you just got when you got a cricket. For as little as $1 a month, you can be a Patreon supporter too. And that's it. That's all. Because we do videos twice a week, oh, the dog's barking now. Because we do videos twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Monday. Okay, I'm coming, Bear.